Generation Z has claimed the title of the homebody generation, swapping a busy nightlife for a cosy evening inside. The Guardian last year reported on an Australian study which found that 71% of Generation Z have cut down on going out. Furthermore, a 2022 study from Keep Hush found that only 25% of Generation Z are actually interested in going out. So why is this happening? So the reason for this lifestyle change is an accumulation of situational and economic factors, from the cost of living to the aftermath of COVID. So let's have a look at COVID and sobriety. So it's quite obvious that the pandemic had a lot of repercussions on all of our lives, and especially on the lifestyles of Generation Z, who had their usual partying years quashed. This may have led to a new trend of young people who are now sober or who have heavily decreased their drinking compared to other generations. This decreasing or more mindful approach to alcohol consumption has likely changed their habits in terms of nightlife as a whole, instead preferring themed nights and music experiences which offer a more well-rounded array instead of the singularity of clubbing and drinking. For example, last summer, the Times reported that on average 5 nightclubs a week are closing in the UK, whilst the TikTok trend of cowboycore saw 11.4 million searches alongside a surge of interest in country music. This change may signify a move against a long-standing drinking culture, or it could be just that this generation is prioritising their enjoyment over what is expected of them. The idea that life can only truly be lived by going out, and that this is the true pinnacle of youth, fun and freedom, disregards our individual agency and also the connectedness that can be shared by social life at home. Let's have a look at mental health, social media and home, because although there are a lot of positives from staying at home, the issue of isolation plagues our generation. A report by King's College London has already shown that Generation Z has some of the highest rates of mental health issues compared to other generations. Such studies have shown that there is a direct link between social isolation and mental health issues.
A day in the life of a stay-at-home burned-out degenerate college student with no friends, no money, no job, no motivation, no social life, no relationship, no love life, no personality, no bitches. Nowheres, no skills, no sense of direction, no driver's license, nowhere to go.
If we look at this TikTok video, it is funny because it's relatable. And so in a way, we as a generation have started to relate to each other and bond over the fact that we're lonely and we can't bond. The Centre for Social Justice produced a report which found that 70% of 18 to 24-year-olds feel lonely at least some of the time. And this report brought particular attention to the overuse of digital devices. We know this and we see this time and time again, and study after study about how overuse of our digital devices and the overuse of social media is really bad for us mentally, and it does cause us to isolate ourselves. Yet it's so easy for us to do. We now no longer go to the cinema, we just watch Netflix. We no longer go out to eat food, instead we just get Deliveroo. And we don't actually go out to meet people in the real world, we use apps like Tinder and Hinge and the many other array of apps that there are. However, we know that the under 24s are more likely to say that they feel lonely than the middle-aged, and so though we are technically more connected than ever, clearly these connections aren't enough. Let's have a look at something else which falls in line with this happening, which is the cost of living and parents. So the choice to stay inside also coincides with a big rise in young people who are choosing to stay at home and live with their parents. The 2021 consensus found that more adults than ever are choosing to live with their parents. 40% of 18 to 34-year-olds now live with their parents, making it the most common domestic arrangement in this age group. Previously, it was a couple with children, and now it's changed. The cost of living crisis and the decline in graduate jobs has made it so that young people are struggling to even afford the basics, let alone have money for social activities. Also, with the fact that you're more likely to now be living with your parents, going out might just seem like a less attractive thing to do purely because it actually just might feel quite awkward. Because obviously, with drinking, you obviously are going to probably get drunk, tipsy, something like that. You might even meet someone, and obviously, one thing leads to another, and you probably won't want to bring that person home to your parents' house. And you may not even want to be seen to be drunk in front of your parents. It might just be a bit of an awkward thing. So, yeah, the whole thing would just be a bit something you don't want to do. So I'm going to read you this article written by Chloe Aslet, and it's about her experience of when she was 22 years old. And though she did actually manage to rent somewhere of her own and have her own job, a lot of her friends didn't and were instead staying inside, and because of this, she felt lonely herself. So it says, Gen Z has gone through and is still going through a shift in housing behaviour that has left us divided and lonely. My friends say they feel like children who aren't being allowed out. Meanwhile, I feel as if I'm playing house with no company. No one seems happy with this arrangement. We manage the meetups, the weekend trips across the country, the video calls between shifts, but it's not quite the roaring 20s we were promised, especially when, like salt in a wound, you see the 10th think piece of that month puzzling over why Gen Z has ditched clubbing or booze and has picked up hobbies like crocheting. To save you some time, it's because the nightclubs have all shut, we have no money, and crocheting is quite fun actually. I can attest to the fact that crocheting is actually quite fun. I'll show you a picture of something that I crocheted before a video or whatever. I've kind of given it up now a little bit, but like I did also get into it because of the pandemic and because of having something to do that was mainly inside. And I think that this is what's happening, is that a lot of people cultivated hobbies and activities that involved being inside because we couldn't go out during the pandemic, and they've just continued to develop these, and therefore they found enjoyment in these hobbies instead of going out. People have also, in this way, decided that it would be better to save their money instead of spending it, and therefore they are cultivating these activities such as cooking for themselves instead of going out, or gaming or streaming, or literally just spending a lot more time online because these are free, and also because they are used to it because of the effects of the pandemic. The balance between staying inside for your own personal enjoyment but also having a healthy social life to combat isolation may prove quite difficult. However, unless such economic and situational factors change, it is likely that the stay-at-home generation is here to stay. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have found it interesting, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!